This is his podcast, In the Rye. It's the In the Rye podcast. Curt Fletcher.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It's In the Rye podcast, episode 74. Even though it says 73 at the bottom, it is episode 74. My guest is Jose Maestas, comedian from Los Angeles, originally from Las Vegas, New Mexico. We had a fun chat. Super nice guy. Known him for a long time. Very funny dude. I do have a bunch of tour dates coming up. They're scrolling at the bottom. February 9th and 10th, Colorado Springs, Loonies. The 10th, we're actually doing an open bar special. It's going to be a little recording. It's going to be up on YouTube in a few months, probably. February 14th, 15th at Boulder, Colorado, license number 1, which is in Hotel Boulderado. February 16th, 17th at the Denver Comedy Lounge, doing 5 shows. February 23rd and 24th, Tucson Laughs Comedy Club, an awesome club. March 1st, I'll be in Santa Fe. I forget the venue name right off the bat, but I'll have a flyer for that soon. March 13th, Acoma, New Mexico, Sky City Casino. March 14th, Into the Mountain Gods in Mescalero. March 16th, Rio Rancho at Turtle Mountain. My buddy Eddie Stevens is going to headline, so I'm going to host that show for him. April 26th, 27th, Des Moines, Iowa at the Funny Bone. And then a hometown show, July 27th at Clarion, Iowa. Chappie's on Main. And then October 21st through the 26th, Calgary, Alberta at the Comedy Cave. I'm also going to line up some more shows in Iowa. And I'm going to be in Texas in June. I got to nail down the exact dates on those. I feel like there was something else. Might be going to Vegas for the World Series of Comedy. I signed up for that. So we'll see if we get in on that September sometime. I don't know when they announce the people for that, but probably not till August, something like that. Anyways, if you want to check out a show, go to funnyfletcher.com, click on schedule. All the ticket links are on there, or most of them should be. If they're not, I'll add them soon when they're on sale. I usually add them right away, so if they're not on there, then they're not on sale yet, probably. All right, let's go talk to Jose Maestas. Awesome. Hey, we got Jose Maestas on the show today, and he just left. There he is.
And we're back.
Hey. What's up, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. What's going on, Curt?
Oh, man, just working my ass off, trying to book dates, all that stuff. Trying to keep busy this year. Last year kind of sucked, so this year's going to be awesome. I've already decided.
How come? What happened last year? Who hurt you, Ryan? Who hurt you?
No, my car broke down, and then my sister got sick and had to have surgery and stuff, and so I took like a month and a half off to like hang out with her, and
I see.
yeah, so I didn't do as many shows as I should have. Like I was going over my my stuff for taxes and things, and I was like, I only did like 45 shows last year, which is the least amount I've done since I was an open micer.
Didn't make a whole lot of money this year.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I mean, they weren't all open mics, which was nice, but yeah, it was rough. So I've already got more than that booked this year already. So yeah. So how are you, man? You're out in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I'm sorry if I look tired. I just woke up. Like I was saying before, I had a late night at the Improv. I was just hanging. I wasn't performing, but the lineups were just stupid. They were incredible, so I had to hang out. Sebastian Maniscalco was there, Melissa Villaseñor, Godfrey. Oh my God!
Oh, I've worked with him.
Yeah, he might be the funniest person on the planet.
Dude, he fucking crushes.
It just like his level of confidence, and rightly so. But his voices, impressions, he knows something about every area of the world. The man's
I told him this. We were working together at the Denver Improv, and I told him right before he went on stage. I told him that the area that we were in, which is called Stapleton, is named after a guy who was in the Ku Klux Klan. And he's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah." And he did like 15 minutes just about that, like on stage that night, right after I told him that.
I bet. Is that really in Denver? That's the case?
Yeah, yeah. I believe the guy was. I can't remember if he was a mayor. I think he was the mayor of Denver years and years ago. But yeah,
Wow.
he was a Klan member.
I didn't think they made it as far west. A little disappointing if I'm being honest, but
Yeah,
learn something new every day. The more you know.
yeah, yeah. So Denver had at least one Klan member.
Hey,
Colorado Springs had one too. Is the Black Klan member? Remember? Did you ever see that movie Black Klansman?
yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
It was a
yeah. That
great
guy was in Colorado Springs.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, so they definitely had some Klan members in Colorado.
We need to hang out more, Kurt. I need to learn stuff from you.
Yeah, right.
I feel like
Yeah.
I need to take your
Well,
course.
that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast because I don't know you very well. Like we've done shows together, but
I
we've
thought,
never
I,
really
thought,
like.
I thought you were gonna say that's why I wanted to have you on the cast. You're pretty dumb. I wanted to just educate you, really.
I wanted to tell you about the Klan and see if you wanted to join.
Oh, let me take notes. Hold on. Where do I apply?
Yeah, I'm recruiting people through the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're up
I
to
don't know if
8
they have
members.
I don't know if there's too many Jose's in the clan, so may not get accepted.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out. I would guess probably not.
Yeah, probably negative numbers on that one. Are these your dates here?
Yeah, they're scrolling on the bottom there.
Oh shit! Very cool.
Yeah, yeah. I put your Instagram on there too. I wasn't sure if you had a website or anything. I should have asked you
Uh,
that beforehand.
yeah, I just opened it up. It's just my name, Jose Maestas, .com.
Oh,
Keep
cool.
it simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
Oh,
a lot of business still through my Instagram. It just seems easier for all intents and purposes. So,
okay.
in fact, at this point, most of the shows that I get booked on are through Instagram. So it's kind of hard to stay off that thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like Instagram more than Facebook and Twitter and stuff.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah, it's there's less bullshit for sure.
there is, and it serves a more direct purpose. I feel like as of right
Yeah.
now, until society ruins that too. But
Mm,
it's
yeah.
coming. It's coming.
I just realized I put it's episode 73 on the ticker there, but it's actually episode 74. I guess it's not a big deal.
You know what? Let's
Nobody.
just start again. I'm out of here.
Yeah. See ya. All
And
right.
we're back.
Welcome to Curt Fletcher invites people to join the Klan, episode 74. So how long have you been out in LA now, man?
Just a little over 7 years. If
No
you can believe
shit.
that. Yeah.
Wow. So what made you want to move out there? Comedy, obviously. Like, do you do acting and stuff too?
A little bit. I mean, stand up has always been the focus.
Yeah.
I've done like some commercials here and there, short films, that sort of stuff. The goal has always been Saturday Night Live. That's
Ooh, okay.
that's always been the dream. I feel
Like
like a
as a
lot of it's
performer or a writer?
performer solely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very difficult time writing for someone else's voice.
Oh, really?
Don't even know how I would do that, honestly. There's a handful of voices I feel like I could, like some of my favorite comics.
Yeah.
I feel like I could write for them, and I think
Uh-huh.
maybe that stems from doing like the impressions and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the impressions I do, it's just like what they would talk about. I feel like, or their opinion
Oh,
on
yeah, yeah, yeah.
what that would be. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Especially if they're like observational comics, like Sebastian Maniscalco. That's like my main impression right now,
Yeah.
and it's just like what I just write material in his voice essentially.
Okay.
So other than
Cool.
that, I don't know how I would write for like a sketch performer. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
We'll
See,
find out.
I sent a packet into SNL a couple years ago, and so they have you write I think like 6 or 7 sketches, and then you have to decide which character is gonna or which performer is gonna be which character and stuff like that. So that was kind of
Oh,
a cool exercise. So I went and watched a bunch of episodes to kind of get familiar with the newer cast members that I didn't know.
yeah.
That was kind of a cool thing to do. Like I knew I wasn't going to get hired or anything, but I gave it a shot, and I heard I think what Shane Gillis was talking about, like if you send in a writing packet, they can use your stuff without telling you. And I didn't know that, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" So I've been watching all the episodes. Like maybe they'll use something, I don't think they
how,
have, but
how would that make you feel? Or how do you think you would
uh,
react in that moment?
I think it'd be kind of cool. I mean,
Right?
I'd probably go online and be like, see what people's reactions are, and then be like, "Yeah, I wrote that shit."
I think that would be my feeling too initially. I wouldn't be here. It'd be like an overwhelming sense of pride. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Like when I write like a tagline or something for a comic and it does well, I'm always like, "Hell yeah!"
Yeah. You know, it was interesting. That doesn't happen to me too often, but I opened for Brent Ernst in Vegas last year,
Oh yeah,
and phenomenal comic.
is he?
Yeah.
I know who
It's
he is, but I've never met him, but I've seen him on Cobra Kai and stuff.
right, right. Look up his he had a Comedy Central like 30-minute special
Okay.
maybe like 10 years ago. That's where I first saw him because me and my brother
Oh, okay.
we lived together and there in Albuquerque on the west side. And every time I'd get home from work, we just throw on Comedy Central Presents and we
Yeah.
record them all on the DVR and we'd watch them all. And he was one of the ones that we would always quote. And so when I
Oh,
moved
cool.
out here, then I opened for him. So it was kind of like a really cool
Oh, isn't
full
that cool?
circle. Yeah. So I told
Yeah.
Brent, I was like, every week my brother and I quote you uh, to each other. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we were hanging out between shows, and I inadvertently gave him a tag. He loved it. He's like, "Can I use it?" I'm like, "Of course."
Dude, that's
And then
awesome.
the next show, and it worked. And so that sense of pride,
Mhm.
that feeling was awesome.
Yeah.
Was so awesome.
Yeah. I just wrote a joke for a buddy of mine that I tour with all the time. Like, we were just kind of stoned in the hotel room one night, and I was just
Yeah.
trying to make him laugh, and I was typing stuff on the computer, and it was like one of those things where you type it out and like hit play, and like a voice says it out loud. So I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
doing that. And I was trying to make him laugh, and like this one thing, like this made him laugh like super hard. And he's like, "Did you just come up with that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Can I use that?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." So he tried it. We were in California in Torrance, and he tried it out at the show, and it did really well.
See,
So it
that's
was
so cool.
cool.
And I think that's how it should be. I mean, obviously, like joke sling is a huge thing, but
Yeah.
if we're talking about your material that's like in your world, take it.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's where material generation comes from.
Yeah. And that joke went so well with, a lot of stuff that he talked about too. Like I used to write when I first started out, I worked at Laughs here in Albuquerque,
Yeah, yeah.
and a buddy of mine started the exact same day that I started. And his whole thing was he's a Mexican dude and he grew up in Alaska. So that was like his whole thing. And like it
Interesting
was so
dynamic.
easy to write jokes for that. So I wrote tons of jokes for him, because he
Hmm.
already had a character. So a couple of jokes I remember writing for him was like, because he grew up playing hockey, and so I said you could say something like, anytime you got a hat trick, your family would throw sombreros on the ice,
Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. So it was like super easy to write for that.
I was
Like,
gonna say that easy pickings. Also, he
yeah,
might be the only Latino to ever play hockey. So I didn't I
yeah,
didn't even
right.
know we were allowed, honestly.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, he ended up quitting doing comedy, but he was really funny, and I don't know. I thought he would have done really well, but he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, you know. It's
Yeah, it's definitely not for everybody. It's
it's
amazing how many people just quit. But yeah, last weekend I actually had a similar situation that you had with Brett. I worked with Chris Kattan, and
oh yeah,
me and my sister quote him all the time, like Corky Romano and Night at the
absolutely.
Roxbury.
You guys
So I
want
was,
some cookies?
yeah, I was telling him that my favorite part, me and my sister's favorite part, is when he's fighting with that dog over the bag of cocaine, and it gets all over, and then he's got to do that press conference for all those second graders.
Dude, my brother and I quote that one all the time too.
Question, you do.
Question. I should buy a boat, don't you
Yeah.
think? I love that scene.
Yes. So I told him that me and my sister always quote that, and he's like, what's funny about that is like when I wrote it into the script, a lot of people told me to take it out because it was drug humor, and they didn't want they said I shouldn't put it in there. And I was like, man, I'm glad you left it in. He's like, yeah, me too.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the premise of the film. It's like it's a mob movie. What
Yeah,
are we
yeah,
talking
yeah, yeah. So
It's just
yeah,
yeah, not like
he
Nickelodeon.
was
What are we doing?
yeah, he was great to work with though. Super nice dude. He doesn't like really do stand up. He kind of he tells stories from like SNL and
Right.
some movies, and then he does some improv. Um, and then he's kind of a shy dude. Like he doesn't seem like he likes to hang out with people after the show and stuff. So he kind of just hung out in the green room. But Friday first show, he showed up like super, super late. So I had to like stretch my time.
Mm.
And like I was almost done with my set, and then the MC was like calling my name from the side,
Mhm.
And so I look over and he's doing this. So I thought that was wrap it up. And I'm
Wrap
like,
it up. Yeah.
but I'm confused. I'm like, why would he tell me to wrap it up though? So I look over at him and I'm like, you tell me to wrap it up? Like trying to whisper, like so the crowd doesn't know what the fuck's going on, And so I told the crowd, I was like, hold on, my coach is over here giving me some signals. I'm not sure what he's saying. And then he's fine. He's like, go longer. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, all right, I guess we're going for it.
Isn't
And
it
then,
funny? Like in the beginning of stand up, you feel like, oh, it's supposed to be this pristine, clean show where everything's tight. They don't get a peek behind the curtain. And then after a while, you're like, just acknowledge what's in the room. Just acknowledge what's happening. Because that you could probably do, 5 minutes just on that. He's giving me hand signals. He's doing the Macarena over here, and I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times, if you just acknowledge what you're seeing, you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. Finally, I was just like, I gotta go longer. And then, so yeah, it was weird because I didn't know how much longer I was gonna have to go because Chris wasn't there yet, and so I'd already done my 20 minutes, and then I did another 10, and I'm like, I'm starting to forget all my jokes, and I'm trying to remember which ones I hadn't done yet.
Mhm.
And because I chunk my jokes together, so like when I'm only doing 20, I cut some of them out, so it's really hard to go back and like, especially on stage, like go back and figure out which ones I hadn't done yet. So I started like doing some crowd work and stuff, and then a joke would pop in my head. I'd do that, and then kind of get on a little roll. Then I'd forget again, do a little more crowd work, and then I ended up doing 40 minutes instead of 20. But
Oh wow!
yeah.
Whoa.
But it worked out nice, and I sold a shitload of shirts that night, man. It was awesome.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, it was a great club, man. Quesada's.
I
You've been
still
there,
haven't
right?
checked it out. No, not
Oh, you
yet.
haven't?
But
Oh, I thought you did a show there.
no, I had already booked a show in Albuquerque like the weekend that it opened.
Oh,
That was somewhere else. I think Boxing Bear. Didn't we do Boxing Bear? Oh, but the other
we did
location.
Boxing Bear once together on the west side. Yeah.
Right. I think I was doing the other location
Okay.
that weekend that they opened, and then I was leaving sort of the next day. So, but I've heard nothing but like the best things. I've heard
Oh,
it's
it's great.
beautiful.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely get booked there, dude. It's cool having a club, like a big club, So now we got 2 clubs, and then we're gonna have a 3rd club here pretty soon, which is awesome. So yeah,
We're going from nothing to like an abundance. This is pretty awesome.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And the other club's gonna be at Windrock, so they're all spread out, I don't think they're really gonna be too much competition for each other. Quesada's brings in a lot of people from Santa Fe, which is cool, so yeah, it's awesome, man. a lot of opportunities for the comics, and I think we have a pretty strong scene right now, so it's awesome.
That's so cool, man. I wish I had that. We had that, a decade ago when I was back home.
Yeah. I moved after Laughs closed. I moved to Denver, and
I remember
there was nothing here at all.
Right.
And I was just like, I can't fucking be here.
So I'll tell you this: when people out here ask me how long I've been doing it, it's a hard question to answer because, as you know, being from New Mexico, there was nothing for a very long time. So it wasn't like I was in the club every night. I mean, I started doing stand-up when I was 17. I was still in high school.
Yeah.
But there was no club. So we're doing, coffee shops, I did like a motorcycle rally, like weird stuff that it doesn't I wouldn't consider it time spent. You know what I mean? So I can't say I've been doing it 17 years because that's not the truth. You know what I mean? So I reset my clock when I came out here because then I was finally in the club all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that seemed right to me. That timeline made more sense, even though I have a little bit more experience than those years would say. But
I mean, the shows, because my first 2 years were just open mic years, and I did 25 sets. That's it in 2 years. Because we didn't have open mics. We had Laughs had one open mic a month, and that's it. So it sucked because you're like, well, do I do new material or do I try to hone the stuff I've already tried?
Right. And then even if I do, where am I supposed to use it?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if I do hone it,
Yeah. But I was lucky enough where I got guest sets quite a bit.
Okay.
So
that helps.
Like my second show I ever did was a guest set. Like he liked me so much at my first open mic that he gave me a guest set the following week. And so that was really cool. I had guest sets. My second and third show I ever did were guest sets. And so it was kind of just doing the same material I did at my first open mic and just trying to make it better. And I ate shit both times.
Of course.
In front of professional comedians, but
that always feels good.
Yeah. And I even asked the club owner about it. I was like, because I ate shit the first guest set, and then he asked me to come back the next Sunday, and I was like, you saw my set, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, what happened? I was like, I ate shit. I was like, same material. He's like, it's just a smaller crowd. Because like the first time I did open mic, there's like 100 people there. It was an awesome crowd. Yeah. And then so the guest set, there was like 15 people in the crowd. So it was different, And then so the next week I did another guest set and there's maybe 20 people. So definitely not the same as the 100 people laughing.
Pretty wild though that the open mic would be so packed. I feel like it's pretty rare.
It was the only open mic in town, man. So it was 20 comics and they were all bringing people. So, it was pretty good. And Freddie Charles was there. That was cool because I had seen him on TV before. And my buddy that started that same day, he brought a lot of people. I brought like 40 people, I think. It was nuts.
Oh, so it was more of a bringer than it was a mic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. No wonder it felt so good.
Oh, it was great, man. Yeah, it was so cool. I almost walked out though because I was so scared.
Really?
I had the worst stage fright, dude. I was so scared. And then I was like, I talked myself into staying just because, all these people came to see me and took time out of their lives and shit to, come out. So I was like, all right, I got to do this at least once and see how it goes.
That's a good problem to have. They keep you accountable. I can't just walk out the door now. They're all here. So what am I going to do?
Yeah. Because if nobody had showed up and I invited nobody, I probably would have fucking walked out.
Right.
Because I was so scared. But once they called my name for some reason, like I had like this little boost of adrenaline, and like I was walking up on stage, and my boss from Pizza Hut was there. It was so funny. I didn't know he was there. I had no idea that he even knew I was performing. And he's like right in the front row, and I just give him this big ass high five, and my friends are like dying because they didn't know that. They thought it was just some random dude.
Oh,
but it was my boss. Yeah. You high five that random dude. I was like, oh, that's my boss.
Isn't that funny? Is like as soon as you get on stage, that anxiety goes away.
Yeah, I got my first laugh on the first thing I said, and I was like, fuck yes. And I was just, I don't know. I don't remember much of the set after that, but I remember it going well. And I know I didn't hit my 5 minutes, even though I practiced and practiced and practiced until it was 5 minutes. But I was probably only up there 2.5 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's the other
because
thing too.
when you're up there, you just kind of rush it, and
Oh yeah, especially early on. You're just boom, 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 boom. Okay, good
yeah,
night. Yeah.
yeah. But it was great, man. It was such a cool feeling. And the headliner that night was there. His name was Daryl Rhodes, and I'm still friends with him. And he came over to me and he goes, "How long have you been doing this?" And I was like, "About 5 minutes." And he goes, that was your first time?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Fuck yeah, dude." He's like, "Keep it up." I was like, "Sweet."
It's amazing what just a little bit of encouragement can do. How
Yeah.
far that can go.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah, because
incredible.
I wanted to do this as a career, and I was just thinking like, well, I got to give it a shot at least once. And if it doesn't go well, at least I tried.
Mhm.
And my friend Nate was the guy who kind of like pushed me into it, like because like when I turned 21, like I worked at Pizza Hut when I was 18. And I kept talking about doing stand up. And then one day, my friend Nate, he just goes, why don't you just shut the fuck up about it and try it?" And I was like, "You're right."
Fair
So
enough.
I didn't know you could do comedy before you're 21. I didn't know you can get into the club. So like when I turned 21, it's kind of I was like, all right, this is it. I picked a date because I knew they did the first Sunday of the month. So I picked August. They gave me like 4 months to write 5 minutes, and I was like, this is it. If it doesn't go well, I'll probably never try it again. But
I had a similar experience, except Laughs closed before I turned 21.
oh yeah,
So I could never get in there because I called them and I don't know who I spoke to, but they're like, nah, I got to be 21. It seemed like really firm on that. So
oh really?
I never stepped foot in there. I don't know.
Oh shit. Well,
Yeah.
it's funny because my friend Mark started when he was 16, but they made his mom like come in with him every time.
I've heard stories of that. Yeah. And they didn't even give me that option. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I should have been more persistent, but I
Yeah.
also wasn't in Albuquerque yet either. So,
Oh yeah, you grew up in Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas, New
yeah.
Mexico. Yeah. So what was your first show like? Where was it?
My first show was great. It was a little coffee shop that actually just closed like 2 weeks ago.
Oh really?
Yeah, and so it was nothing but like family and friends. It was the most like supportive room possible.
Hmm.
And I feel like I flip a switch when I'm on stage, and I did that
Yeah.
immediately right from the bat because usually I'm pretty like chill and calm. Like we're having this conversation right here. This is how I
Mhm.
am all the time. But on
Yeah.
stage, all of a sudden I'm this
Yeah.
other like character. I think I don't know where that comes
Did you
from.
do theater in high school or no?
We didn't have it. We're such a small
Oh,
town.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
Didn't have it. Yeah. I just grew up watching Saturday Night Live and those type
Yeah.
of sketches, and I feel like, oh, you're supposed to perform, and so that's
Yeah.
just always how I've done it. Watching,
Okay.
and Jim Carrey is like my god, so
Yeah.
he's doing the most.
Hmm.
And so I went up, I went up and performed. I think it was same thing, like 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes,
Hmm.
and I just turned into this like peacock, like look at me, and that feeling, I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It reaffirmed all the like thoughts and hopes and dreams I had. And yeah, I feel like I'm trying to tap into that feeling every time after that.
Oh yeah. What year was that?
2007.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Blue Dragon Coffee House, was it?
No, it was in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
It geez, what was it called? It just closed. Yeah, it was in Las Vegas.
Okay, cool. We used to have it was a music / comedy open mic at Blue Dragon. It was
Mm,
originally just music, but I think it was Luis Powell was the first comic that actually went down there and asked if he could do stand up. And the MC was like super cool, and so he let Luis do 15 minutes. So then he
wow.
told me and my buddy about it. He was like, "Don't tell anybody else," because we were like three of the guys who opened at Laughs regularly. So he's like, "Don't
Yeah.
tell any of the shitty comics." So so we went down there, and he gave us all 15-minute sets, which was
Gee,
awesome for open mic. Yeah.
that's unheard of.
So we started doing 15 minutes, like almost every Wednesday at this little coffee shop.
Exponential growth at that point.
Man, it was so great. Yeah, it was such a cool little venue. The host was cool. And then as soon as there was a new host, it sucked.
Yeah.
I went in there with the new host, and I did a joke, and it was like, because I would usually do some pretty fucked up jokes at that open mic, and the host loved it. He had a really dirty sense of humor. And then when the new host came in, I did one of those jokes, and he kicked me off the microphone like right away. And then
wow,
I was like, oh shit. I was like, so I'm never performing here again.
Yeah. Right after that.
Fuck this.
He like, what did he do? He went up on, grabbed the mic from you?
He like stood up and he was like, nope, you're done. I was like, really?
What?
It wasn't even that bad of a joke, if I remember right. I guess it was kind of bad. It was like, God, what was the joke? I don't remember. It's something about Rosie O'Donnell eating pussy.
That's what Godfrey was talking about last night. Yeah, that's just like some disrespectful shit.
Yeah.
If you got a problem with it, let's talk afterwards. We can talk. That's fine.
Yeah,
you don't interrupt someone's set. You don't just pick them off.
And it got a laugh. You know, it got a pretty good laugh.
Even if it doesn't, who cares?
Yeah,
it's an open mic. That's what we're doing here. That's the whole point.
And it was funny because I brought my friend Charlie from El Paso, who was a comic, and all of his stuff was dark.
Yeah.
And I was like, you might as well cross Charlie off the list because
don't even bother. Just go back to Texas, bro.
Charlie did this joke. It's so funny. He got booked in Corpus Christi, Texas, just to tell this joke, just to see the reaction, because that's where Selena's from.
I was going to say it's a Selena joke. I knew it.
Yeah, the joke goes, he was talking about Selena. He's like, I was this close to seeing Selena, and then the shovel broke.
Oh man. Oh man.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna get murdered. He was telling me the story about it.
He's lucky he didn't. That's surprising.
Yeah. And he said something about fucking Selena's statue, and he got arrested for statutory rape.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Whew. Ooh.
Yeah. Comedy's fun.
Yeah.
Man, so I see I always see your posts on Instagram and stuff. You're always at the Improv with big names, man. That's cool. Who are some of your favorites that you've worked with out there?
Ooh, geez, there's so many. There's so many. I have my own show. I produce a show in our smaller showroom, still at the Improv.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and so it's called
awesome.
Applause Break. It's called coming back February 29th.
Nice.
We've been able to get really cool comics there. And then I get to perform a shorter set in the main room occasionally, or every week. And just some of the names are crazy, like Spade, Sebastian Maniscalco, Godfrey. Man, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Ian Bagg. Oh my God,
he's a crusher, dude.
I don't think I've ever seen someone crush that hard. And all crowd work. He had one joke. The rest was crowd work, and it's just boom, 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 boom. Eliza Schlesinger. She's so quick at writing. All of hers is material, and she's honing the same material, but every set there's something a little bit different. And so when you're in the club every night, you can see and hear those differences, because you hear a lot of the same bits, but hers is never quite the same, which is really awesome. It's really cool to see. Amir K is one of my favorites. Oh my God. He's not super famous like some of these other people, but you can't watch Amir and not love him. Everyone falls in love with him. Yeah. He's so funny, so chill, so cool. It's like the type of person you'd want to hang out with.
For sure.
always murders, always crushes. Fahim Anwar, stupid funny. Do you know Brent Weinbach?
I know the name, yeah.
He is like the most dry, sort of deadpan. I almost want to say like avant-garde because no one's like him.
Uh-huh.
And it's usually not my style because my style is like real, big and performative. He never breaks. It's almost like what's a show on HBO? Nathan Fielder.
Oh yeah, Nathan For You.
He reminds me so much of Nathan Fielder. Never breaks.
Yeah.
And he has possibly my favorite bit of all time. It's he starts to sing Michael Jackson songs, but he throws the F word in there.
Oh, nice.
And never breaks about it.
Uh-huh.
And he'll ask the audience for suggestions, and no matter what, he has a bit for every Michael Jackson song.
Oh, that's cool.
And he throws it in there, and it's just so funny. Any of the like servers or door guys at the Improv, anytime he starts that bit, everyone starts to talk to somebody else. Like, dude, watch this bit.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's favorite bit.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's just brilliant. He's just genius. So
Yeah.
it's like going to like comedy school, just being in those doors every night. So
yeah. Is he on TV? I feel like he was on some show.
I think he might have been. I don't know.
Because I know that name for sure. I'll look him up though. I know the name. Yeah, it's so cool, man. Like, I've never lived in LA, but I lived in Denver, and just going from Albuquerque to Denver was such a learning experience. Like getting to watch. Denver's got so many great comics. Like the Comedy Works is probably the best club in the country.
Oh, I've heard.
A lot of the headliners, like big name headliners, would start bringing their own openers because they had such a hard time following the Denver comics. Because they would stack the line. I mean, the lineups would be solid headliners from Denver that they had to follow. You know what I mean? Like guys like Ben Roy and Adam Caton Holland, Troy Baxley, like all these dudes are just fucking crushers.
Yeah.
And these guys, like all these big name guys, had such a hard time following these guys, so they would start bringing guys with them that they could follow.
Smart, makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, just living there and watching these comics all the time, like and performing with them, like. I mean, you got to step up your game big time. Like, I felt pretty good about being in Albuquerque, but then going to Denver is like, fuck, I'm not even in the top 50 here,
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest difference for me was in Albuquerque, because there were no clubs, would have to do shows. So self-produce shows.
Yeah.
And that means filling time usually.
Yeah.
So early on, I was doing 30, 45 minutes, and I know I wasn't ready for that. So there was a ton of fat on there.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of me doing like big, long act outs to fill in that time. And then going from that to LA, stage time is impossible to come by.
Yeah.
Unless you're just going to mics. You might not even get up at the mics. So it went from filling 45 minutes to now 3 minutes. Now it was 90 seconds. And I had no idea how to hone that in. And so it's taken quite a while, but it just made me tighten everything. So now there are a bunch of smaller bits that you can piece together. I don't have many of those like 8-9 minute bits anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're doing a special and they're 8-9 minutes of boom, boom, boom jokes within a larger bit, it doesn't serve a purpose.
Oh yeah. It's so funny because like when I worked at Laughs, I could always tell which comics were from LA because they had like a really solid 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the rest was just kind of figuring shit out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. Beyond that mark, you're so lucky to get more time than that out here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You have to be so good and or famous.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Or
bet, man.
self-produced.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So you've been how long did you say? 7 years out there?
7, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you moved away. That was probably what, 2016?
16, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, the scene here back then, I didn't think of what it was like. I think I was living in Denver at the time, probably when you
The
moved.
the
We had the
stage
the
was the
stage
big
was
one.
like, yeah, and which was cool, but you only got to perform there. Like I think I did when I was hosting or emceeing or opening or whatever. I would do 4 times a year, and then they bumped me up to feature finally.
Mhm.
Um, which I would do I think twice a year. Um, yeah, that was a cool venue. Um, but it was an older crowd usually,
Yeah. Casino
and
crowd.
yeah, and it was like kind of hit and miss. It wasn't always fun, but it was a great room. I really liked the room. Like, a lot of the out of town comics I worked with always commented how nice the room was and stuff. And
It
so
was it
yeah,
was it was beautiful, but it was a
yeah,
big space,
it
so
was huge.
if it wasn't packed, it was a lot of empty space to fill.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think when I would do those opening spots, yeah, like you said, it was sort of hit and miss.
Hmm.
The best time I had was when I actually met Preacher Lawson out here from America's Got Talent.
Oh
I
yeah,
met him at the Improv, and I said, "Hey, Preacher, I saw you're going to Albuquerque." And before he even asked, he's like, "You want a spot?" Like, yeah,
hell yeah.
absolutely. And it was cool because his brother, I guess, usually features for him, and his
Oh
brother
really?
couldn't make it to the show. So he called me up. He's like, "Hey, can you feature?" So I'm like, "Absolutely." So we
Hell
did
yeah.
a couple shows there, and because of him, how good he is, and how his name, it was packed,
Oh
absolutely
yeah.
packed. And so that was a different experience than opening the regular like Thursday shows.
Yeah.
And then they put you
When
up in a
people are there,
room.
yeah,
And,
because people when they the Thursday night, it wasn't like a big name comic, so they're just like there. But yeah,
yeah,
when they're there to see someone specific, it's just a different energy in the room.
different.
Like I
Yeah,
felt that with Chris Kattan for sure.
exactly.
I was like, everyone's pumped up to see him, so this is gonna be fucking awesome. Uh, you know, I've done that quite a few times where I open for like a bigger name, and it's like, they're all there to see him, obviously, but man, just go out there and just fucking rock it for 10 or 20 minutes.
Oh yeah. You know what's interesting is that a lot of times, sometimes the feature is better.
Yeah.
In in,
Well,
in,
I felt
in
like that when I worked with Chris Kattan. I had so many people tell me that I was so much better than him, because he doesn't do a traditional stand-up set or whatever.
right.
But yeah, I see that a lot.
Yeah, and I think it comes from like, there's expectations on the
Mhm.
headliner. They also have to fill a ton more time. And then
Oh yeah,
as a
the feature spot
feature,
is so easy, dude.
it's so sweet because you can do your best 20.
Yeah.
It's tight, it's fun,
Hmm.
boom, and you're out and leave them wanting more. I remember
Yeah.
when I watched Chappelle that night that the guy in Santa Fe threw the banana
Oh
peel
yeah.
on me. I was at the first show before the second
Oh
show.
really?
Yeah, and obviously Chappelle's amazing. He's the
Yeah.
best, whatever. But I think it was Mo Amer
Hmm.
was his feature, and I didn't know of him yet.
Oh, okay.
And so he only did like 15. But I was
Hmm.
like, holy shit, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because he's also a nationally touring headliner,
Oh yeah.
but you don't know it at the time. And he's doing
Yeah.
his best 15
Uh-huh.
and just blowing the roof off the place.
Yeah.
And then in comparison, Chappelle's doing amazing stuff, but he sits down, has a smoke, and let's get into it. But when you have somebody just boom, 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 boom for 15 minutes,
Hmm.
it's a different thing. It's a different experience.
Yeah. I did see kind of the opposite of that one time. So I went to see George Carlin in 2002 at the
Oh,
Casino Hollywood, and his opening act was Dennis Blair, and he was awesome. He did 30 minutes, does a lot of music and stuff. So after George died, I worked with Dennis. I opened for Dennis in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he struggled, like, not to talk shit on Dennis because he's awesome, but he struggled as a headliner because he opened. I even have a book that he wrote. It's about him opening for all these awesome people. Like he started out opening for Rodney Dangerfield, and then he had a falling out with him, and George took him on tour with him for years. So when George died, Dennis didn't have much headlining experience at all. And I noticed that when I worked with him, like, he had a solid 30 and then kind of struggled the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is to headline. Like, because I headlined Laughs in Tucson a couple years ago in 2020. And not only is it way different than featuring, but it was also in 2020. I hadn't done a set in like 2 months. So
Yeah.
when I was driving to Tucson, I was like listening to my album because I hadn't looked at my jokes in 2 months. You know what I mean? And I was like, I don't even know if I could pull off a headline set.
Yeah.
And then I get there and I've got to follow fucking Craig Gass. Craig Gass was the feature act.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is Craig Gass not fucking headlining? But he was just in
Yeah.
town visiting family, and they gave him a 30-minute feature guest spot
Oh man.
because he wasn't going to be there the next night. So they gave me the
Oh
headline
man.
spot. And I was like, and he fucking crushed, dude. I don't know if you've seen Craig Gass, but he's awesome.
I think
And
once,
then,
yeah.
but I was just like, well, just fucking ride that wave. Just get a good laugh on your first joke and it'll be fine,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it ended up being all right. There was some parts where I kind of forgot what I was saying and shit, but yeah, the next night was a lot better. I didn't have to follow Craig Gass and had some more time to work on my material during the day, but it was pretty rough.
That was a weird time in 2020. The only
Oh, it
thing,
sucks.
yeah, because LA was really hardcore about it, and so the only
Yeah.
thing open was I got booked on like a bringer show in the back of a church that was like at an amphitheater that they had.
Oh,
And thank God I had that because that was it for the longest time. And so, but it was kind of weird. Like the pastor was sitting there in the corner, just kind of arms crossed, watching the whole show. Do you know the comic Ant?
oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's famous for being like very flamboyant and open and
Yeah.
gay. And so he was hitting on the pastor and just crushing the whole place. And I had to follow that. I still did
Oh
okay,
yeah.
but it was the funniest thing I think I've ever seen, that he was
Yeah.
just making the pastor feel so uncomfortable
Yeah.
because we were even told like keep it sort of clean, and it's like, do you know who I am? Like I
Yeah.
can't do that. What are you talking about? And so that was fun just to be around because
Oh, for
everybody
sure.
liked it. We had nothing.
Yeah. I actually flew out to LA when COVID was going on, like, because everything shut down like March 15th or something. And I was in Reno with my buddy, and we were flying out to, like, he lives in LA. So I was flying out there with him after we did Reno. He was going to get me a spot at the Comedy Store, like on my birthday or whatever. And I was like
Oh,
so
nice.
pumped. And then everything just shut down. So it didn't happen, but it was all right. Did you do any Zoom shows or no?
I did like 2 or 3.
I'm curious to see how that went as a high energy guy. Like, how do you do that on Zoom? Like, did you like get up out of your chair and perform, or did you just?
Oh no, I was full standing, full on standing.
Okay.
Yeah, like there was no difference.
Okay.
I would come out of frame. I'd come in. I'd pop into frame. I was doing the most. I was doing the most. What was interesting though is that it was easier to do that on Zoom than it would be to do like my type of material at an open mic.
Oh yeah.
Because at the open mic, it's notoriously a little bit darker, very joke heavy, and so not so performative. And so they don't want to hear that type of stuff. So you get the immediate sort of hate from the room, I guess you could say. But over Zoom, I'm like, oh, well, I'm just doing this in my living room. This is kind of nice. And I'm actually making a few bucks, so I don't even have to leave the house. I'm not even wearing pants. This is not too bad. Pretty good. I did a show for, was it Laguna Acoma or I think so. One of the schools there in New Mexico. and I was supposed to do some comedy and then talk to the kids about my experience or whatever. And I started off with a bunch of jokes, and I'm doing impressions and whatever. And the principal came on. She said, "Oh, okay. That's nice. That's great. Can we talk a little bit about your career and how that's going? We'd really appreciate some insight for the kids if we could just move on." Like, sure. I'm only pouring my heart out here, but yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wow. Have you run across like anyone that's been rude to you, like comic wise, in LA? You don't have to name names, but if you want to send me a message and tell me, that'd be cool.
Not really. Cool. I would say you find there's pockets, so you find your sort of niche and you find where you sort of fit in. There's some shows that are very like bro-y, very, I mean, like frat boy type of humor, and that doesn't do anything for me. But not people that have been sort of rude or anything. It's been okay. Been all right so far. Do you have any horror stories?
Yeah, not real horror stories, but I've had less than a handful of guys that were rude to me over the, like I've been doing this 20 some years, and like, there's only two guys that really stand out that I didn't like working with. One, I'll say his name because he's dead. It was Monty Hoffman. It was so funny because, when I was starting out, I'd always ask comics like, is there a guy you don't like working with? And 90% of the time they'd say Monty Hoffman. I always heard his name before I even worked with him. And then I got booked with him at Laughs. I was hosting. He was headlining. He was actually he was the wrestling coach on Saved by the Bell.
What a credit.
Yeah. So I'd heard all these horror stories about him and stuff. And like Russ, the owner, Russ Rivas, he was like cool about me selling merchandise, even though I was a host. Which, you're really not supposed to do it as a host. It's kind of like a weird comedy rule, but
right.
But he always let me sell as long as I, okayed it with the headliner and stuff. And so I asked Monty if it was cool if I sold shirts, and he was like, "Yeah, go ahead." I was like, "All right, cool." So I was selling shirts, the first couple nights, and then my buddy Charlie from El Paso, he was featuring, and he was staying in the condo with Monty, and he called me and he's like, "Hey, just a heads up, I overheard Monty like bitching about you selling shirts on the phone." Well, he was talking to somebody, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So when I got to the club that night, I talked to Russ about it and was like, "Hey, should I not sell shirts?" Charlie said he was kind of bitching about it, and Russ was like, "Fuck him." He's like, "Sell them for $10 and I'll cover what you don't make." And I was like, "No shit." And he's like, "Yeah, fuck him." I was like, "All right." So I sold the shit out of my shirts that night. I was like, $10. And I didn't sell a ton of them, but Russ covered the cost on the other one. Monty was so fucking pissed, dude.
there is a lot of that, like kind of go tell the teacher sort of mentality. And it's like, just tell. If you don't want to, if you're uncomfortable, just tell me. It's fine. I won't do it.
Yeah.
So simple.
I asked him. He said it was cool. If he had a problem, come to me. I would have fucking stopped selling them.
Right.
But I don't know. He's just a dick, and he had cancer and died. So fuck him. He was actually in. I'm sure you saw Funny People, Adam Sandler's movie.
Yeah.
He was in that movie. He was. There's like a big group of like real famous comics, and for some reason, he was in there too.
It's like a dinner party or something. Scene, right?
George Wallace, and Monty Hoffman was in that scene.
All three watched it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you haven't ran into any assholes. That's nice, man. Shit. Do you have anything to promote? This is going to come out on February 5th on Monday. You have any shows coming up that you want to promote, or?
I get a lot of dates sort of the week of. So so who knows what that's going to look like? But I know my show, if you're in LA, February 29th. at the Hollywood Improv. It's called Applause Break. Yeah, link in the bio. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. And you got your website, josemaestas.com. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone go follow him on Instagram. And if you're in LA, go catch a show. Very funny dude. Yeah, you get funnier every time I see you, man. It's awesome.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah. Last time I saw you, because we did Boxing Bear, I hadn't seen you, and I'd probably seen you at the stage, but that was shit.
Yeah, it's been a long
6
time.
years prior, and then we did that show in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's right.
That?
Ooh.
You were still pretty new, man.
Yeah. It was 13,
was that
14.
Was that 2012?
12, maybe even. Yeah. It was back there.
Because it was with Stephen Michael Quesada, and he was still, I think he was still on Breaking Bad at the time, or it had just ended or something. Like, I don't know, it was like really big at the time. So that gig was so much fun, dude.
The theater's beautiful, no?
Yeah.
I did so many shows there when I was young. Oh, I love it,
man. I've had some really fun shows in Las Vegas. I don't know if I ever told you this, but the first time I ever featured at a show was in Las Vegas. It was at 2D's bar.
Oh, yeah.
And so Danny Romero is a boxer from Las Vegas. He was fighting that night. He was fighting Johnny Tapia.
Yeah.
Huge rivalry. So, and that was kind of his bar, like he hung out at. It was like a boxing themed bar, I believe, if I remember right. So the show was going to happen after the fight, because the show is scheduled to start at 8, but the fight was going on, and they were showing it at the bar. So they're like, all right, we're not going to start the show until after the fight. And then Danny lost. So everybody's in a shitty mood.
Yeah.
And the Eddie Tafoya was hosting the show. He's the one that set it up. He goes up and does like 5 minutes, eats a huge pile of shit. Nobody's laughing, which isn't a surprise. But then he brings up, there's a guy from Denver who goes up and does 10 and eats a huge pile of shit. Like nothing. Doesn't get a laugh. And I'm freaking out because I'm next. Yeah. And I've got to do 30 minutes. I've never done 30 minutes ever.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I'm going to have to fucking stretch like crazy because I'm not going to get a laugh either. And I went up there and had one of the best sets of my life.
No shit.
Yeah, I fucking destroyed. I did 35 and just fucking crushed, dude.
That's
I don't know what it was. I think it was because I did a little bit of improv at the beginning. And I don't know. It got a good laugh right away. And then so I don't know. I did my set and it went really well. And then the headliner went on and ate a huge pile of shit. So I was like, fuck yeah. But it was like one of the best shows I had done, like, early in my career. But yeah, my first time featuring, man. 2Ds did 35 and did really well. And like, it was a good feeling, man. It was so cool.
My dad used to work at that bar. It used to be called Sliders and Floyd's. And in one summer I worked with my dad, sort of handyman work,
No kidding.
Yeah, I sort of grew up in that bar a little bit. I learned how to play pool in that bar.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wonder what year that was. It was probably 2004, I'd say. Because, I started hosting at Laughs in 2003. And, it was probably 2004. I guess I could look up the Danny Romero versus Johnny Tapia fights and figure it out, probably.
Yeah. I was probably helping my dad somewhere in that round.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did another bar there once too. What was that one called? I don't remember. It was like one of my first headline sets though. I did. Like Eddie Tafoya used to set up shows there sometimes for some reason, and I guess because he taught at Highlands.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so he knew a lot of people. Anyways, we're almost at an hour. I usually try to keep this at about an hour. So, dude, thanks so much for taking the time to do this. I know you had a late night last night, so thanks for.
No, I appreciate you having me, Curt. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good to get to know each other a little bit better. So I appreciate you
Likewise, man.
having me.
Yeah. Next time you're in town, I'd love to see you. Your family's super cool, man. I've met your family at shows, and yeah, great family, very supportive, man. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty lucky in that regard for sure.
yeah, that's awesome. Do they ever come out to LA to see you or no?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're gonna
Yeah,
come probably in a couple months. Yeah, they come every year pretty much. Yeah,
cool, man. That's awesome. Well, hell
yeah.
yeah, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Hope you have killer shows and go check out Jose, everybody. JoseMaestas.com and Instagram at Funny Brownie.
Thanks, Kirk. Let me know
Yeah,
next time you're in LA, man. We got to get
I
together for
will.
sure.
I will for sure, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Peace.
See you. All right. That was fun. That was Jose Maestas. Go check him out. Super funny dude. Nice guy. Um, yeah, I've known him for quite a while now. Um, yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate that. Thanks to Jarrett Reddick for intro music. John Singleton from Anesthesia for outro music. If you're in Albuquerque, Anesthesia is playing at the Launchpad March 9th. Go check that out. I think I'm in town, so I'll probably go check that out. Also, Bowling for Soup is on tour. They're always touring. They just announced a little summer tour in the Midwest. So I'm actually going to go get to see them in Des Moines, Iowa, July 23rd. I also get to see their 30-year anniversary show in Texas. And I'll be lining up some shows at Hyenas out there. Those aren't nailed down yet, but they will be soon. So hope to see you guys out there. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.